Hello, my friends, and welcome to Hidden Scriptures Word Study Commentary number 189. This is where we get past the doctrines of men and learn what the Scriptures actually say. The title I have for today's word study is Why Does Paul Always Refer to the Mosaic Law in the Present Tense if it was abolished and done away with as Christians today claim it has been? What causes the version of Christians we have surrounding us today always run to Paul and not our Messiah when they are looking for someone to support them in their beliefs that the Mosaic Law, the Torah, has been abolished, done away with, or degraded to the point of no longer having any importance or relevancy in a new covenant believer's life today? I mean, why don't they run to Messiah Yeshua as their first choice? After all, they claim that he was the one who did away with the Mosaic Law when he said that he came to fulfill it. So why not run to him for support instead of Paul? Well, perhaps it is because they know that they don't have a leg to stand on if they try to depend on the Messiah to support them in their lawless beliefs and lifestyle. But through the relentless repetition of their pastors, in combination with their own ignorance of what the scriptures say, they have been mentally trained to believe that they can always count on Paul in supporting them in their lawless beliefs and lifestyle. But one of their many self-inflicted problems is this. If Paul did believe as they do that the Torah, the Mosaic Law, had been abolished and done away with because Messiah said that he came to fulfill it, then why in the passages shown below is Paul, his Hebrew name being Shaul, referring to the Torah, the Mosaic Law, in the present tense? How does this make any sense if he were in agreement with today's lawless Christian? Well, just like Peter is not in agreement with these types of Christians we have surrounding us today concerning the interpretation of his Acts chapter 10 vision, Paul is likewise not in agreement with them concerning the continued importance and relevancy of the Mosaic Law in a believer's life today. The Messiah is likewise not in agreement with them because they refuse to obey him when he tells them to stop thinking that he came to abolish and do away with the Mosaic Law and the prophets. And to make matters even worse for them, they also refuse to obey him when he instructs them to actually obey the Mosaic Law. The Father is likewise not in agreement with them because they refuse to hear and obey his Son, and he has made it clear, the Father has made it clear that he is going to destroy anyone and everyone who refuses to hear and obey his Son. And if you don't believe what I just said, all you got to do is look at Deuteronomy chapter 18, verses 15 through 19, and then Acts chapter 3, verses 22 and 23, and then in Acts chapter 7 and verse 37. Okay, the Father is going to destroy anyone and everyone who refuses to hear and obey, refuses to shema his Son. The Father takes great offense with anyone who is arrogant enough and presumptuous enough to disrespect his anointed one by refusing to hear and obey him, refusing to shema him, refusing to hear and obey him. Okay? And where do the lawless Christians refuse to hear and obey the Father's anointed one? Well, back here in these passages right here. The post-Constantine religion of antinomian lawless Christianity is truly out there on its own with its beliefs and theology, which they have built on the foundation of the doctrines of men that run contrary to the scripture, rather than on the foundation of bedrock of what the scriptures actually say. In departing from the safety of scripture and relying on the doctrines of men, which is the cause of them being lawless, they have exposed themselves as being fair game and easy prey for the adversary. Let's look at just a few of the writings of Paul. Like I mentioned before, his Hebrew name is Shaul, and some other folks, where they refer to the Torah, the Mosaic Law, not in past tense verbiage and terminology and language that they would have used if they were under the impression that the Torah, the Mosaic Law, had been abolished and done away with. But everyone is using present tense language, present tense verbiage, indicating that they all still believed the Torah was very much alive and well and still relevant and important in the life of post-resurrection believers in Messiah Yeshua. Okay, Acts 24:14. This is from Paul, Shaul. But this I do admit to you, I worship the Elohim of our fathers in accordance with the way, which they call a sect, talking about the Pharisees and basically all of the religious elite ruling class. I continue to believe everything Paul says that accords with the Torah, the Mosaic Law, and everything written in the prophets. So Paul says right here, I continue to believe everything that is written in the Torah and the prophets. There is nothing in Paul's statement above indicating that in his mind, the Torah and prophets had changed even in the slightest way. Paul didn't think that it was abolished and done away with. Okay, dropping down to Acts chapter 28, verse 23. So they arranged a day with him, with Shaul, with Paul, and came to his quarters in large numbers. From morning until evening, he explained the matters to them, giving a thorough witness about the kingdom of Elohim and making use of both the Torah of Moshe, the Torah of Moses, and the prophets to persuade them about Yeshua. If Paul thought that the Torah and prophets had been abolished and done away with, would he have the confidence to still continue to use them in teaching about Messiah Yeshua? Okay, we're going to go to Acts chapter 21 and verse 20 in this one. On hearing it, they praised Elohim, but they also said to him, to Paul, to Shaul, you see, brother, how many tens of thousands of believers there are among the Judeans, and they all are zealous for the Torah. Now, folks, had the Torah been abolished and done away with, would the elders be speaking about it in such glowing present tense language? How could many tens of thousands of people be zealous of something that had been abolished and done away with? Okay, next we're going to read Acts chapter 21, verse 23. So do what we tell you. Now this is Yaakov, Jacob. We know him as James. So do what we tell you. We have 4 men who have a vow on themselves. Okay, what kind of vow are they talking about? Because it mentions in the next verse the shaving of the head, we know that they are speaking about a Nazirite vow that we read about in Numbers chapter 6. A Nazirite vow begins and ends with the shaving of the head. So this is, again, Yaakov continue to talk. Jacob, we know him as James, continuing to speak to Shaul. Take them and purify yourself along with them and pay their expenses so that they may shave their heads. That way, all will realize that there is nothing to the things they have been told about you, but that you yourself walk in an orderly manner, keeping the Torah. Okay, why would Yaakov, Jacob, we know him as James, be so concerned about dispelling the rumors and showing everyone that Shaul, that Paul was walking in obedience to the Torah if it had been abolished and done away with? Okay, let's go to 23, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know why I mixed up these chapters. I should have put them in line in chronological order, but I didn't. So we're just going to bounce around. Okay, so now we're at Acts chapter 23 and verse 3. Then Shaul, Paul said to him, Elohim will strike you, you whitewashed wall. Will you sit there judging me according to the Torah, yet in violation of the Torah, order me to be struck? Folks, there is no past tense language, terminology, or verbiage being spoken by Shaul here. This is absolutely present tense language, verbiage, terminology, indicating the obvious. In the minds of everyone at this event, the Mosaic Law, the Torah, is very much alive and well, even though, according to today's lawless Christian, it was abolished and done away with because Messiah Yeshua said that he came to fulfill it. Okay, now we're going to go to Romans. And of course, Shaul, Paul is speaking. For it is not merely the hearers of the Torah whom Elohim considers righteous. And you guys that follow my word studies, this is a familiar verse because I use it a lot. And the reason I use it a lot is because I never heard this in all the years that I was growing up in lawless Christianity. I never, ever remembered hearing this verse. But I love this verse because it comes from Shaul, comes from Paul, and it says a lot about the continued validity and relevancy of the Torah, the Mosaic Law, in a believer's life today. For it is not merely the hearers of the Torah whom Elohim considers righteous, rather, it is the doers of what Torah says who will be made righteous in Elohim's sight. It is those who obey the Torah that the Father considers to be righteous. And the other side of the coin is that the Father also considers those who do not obey the Torah, the Mosaic Law, to be unrighteous. Okay, how could and would Paul say this if the Mosaic Law had been abolished and done away with, as today's lawless Christians claim? I mean, Romans was written when? Romans is written several decades after the resurrection of our Messiah. All right, let's continue. Paul is addressing the elite religious ruling class here. You who take such pride in Torah, do you, by disobeying Torah, dishonor Elohim? Again, how could and would Paul say this if the Mosaic Law had been abolished and done away with, as today's lawless Christians claim? Well, what this also reveals is not only could and would Paul not say this if he thought that the Torah, the Mosaic Law, had been abolished and done away with, but Paul Shaul also reveals to us in this verse that when we disobey the Torah, when we disobey the Mosaic Law deliberately and intentionally so, which is what lawless Christians today do, that this willful and deliberate disobedience of the Mosaic Law dishonors the Father. They are dishonoring the Father. They are dishonoring Yahuwah, the creator of heaven and earth, by their disobedience of the Mosaic Law, the Torah. Folks, I could keep going and going with this because the renewed covenant writings, what we refer to as the New Testament, is literally saturated with present tense language, terminology, and verbiage concerning the Mosaic Law. I mean, it's utterly ridiculous that the lawless Christians of today that we are surrounded by still insist that the law has been abolished and done away with when they have absolutely no supportive evidence in Scripture to make such foolish and uninformed claims. The reason that Shaul and everyone else speaks about the Mosaic Law, the Torah, in present tense language is because just as our Messiah, Yeshua, himself stated, he did not come to abolish the Torah or the prophets, but to fulfill everything that had been written in them concerning himself. Matthew chapter 5 and verse 18. This is our Messiah talking. For truly I say to you, till the heaven and the earth pass away, one yod or one tittle shall by no means pass from the Torah till all be done, till all be accomplished. Folks, until we are walking around on the streets of gold in New Jerusalem, not everything has been done or accomplished yet. And until that happens, the Messiah is telling us right here, not even one yod or one tittle, which are the decorative points in the Hebrew language. To relate that to our English language, Messiah is telling us until heaven and earth pass away, not even the crossing of a lowercase t or the dot of a lowercase I will pass, will diminish, will be removed from the Torah, the Mosaic Law. That's what he's telling us right here in verse 18. All right, let's go down to Luke chapter 16 and verse 17. And this is the Messiah speaking. And it is easier for the heaven and the earth to pass away than for one tittle of the Torah, the Mosaic Law, to fall. So the Messiah is telling us right here that it is easier for the heaven and earth to pass away than for anything to be diminished or removed or degraded or devalued from the Torah, the Mosaic Law. It does not matter how much the lawless Christian wishes it to be so or makes believe that it is so, that the Mosaic Law is no longer relevant or important in a believer's life today. The reality of the situation is, it is very much, the Mosaic Law is very much alive and well. And the Father has not weakened his resolve that his people must choose to obey it or choose to be destroyed by disobeying it. There is no middle ground with him, folks. We have to choose either the blessing or the curse. We have to choose life or death. We have to choose obedience or disobedience. There is no middle ground with the Father. Okay, we're going to go to Yeshayahu. We know him as Isaiah, chapter 51, verses 4 through 8. Listen to me, the Father says. Listen to me, my people. Listen is Shema. Hear and obey. Hear and obey. Hearken and obey to me, my people, and give ear to me, O my nation. For the Torah, for the Mosaic Law goes forth from me, the Father says, and my right ruling I set as a light to the peoples. Including the Gentiles. My righteousness is near, my deliverance shall go forth, and my arms judge peoples. Coastlands wait upon me, and for my arm they wait expectantly. Lift up your eyes to the heavens. Now these are the two witnesses. Lift up your eyes to the heavens, and look on the earth beneath. For the heavens shall vanish like smoke, and the earth wear out like a garment, and those who dwell in it die as gnats. But my deliverance, my salvation is forever, and my righteousness is not broken and will not be abolished. Listen to me, hearken and obey me, you who know righteousness, a people in whose heart is my Torah, my Mosaic Law. Do not fear the reproach of men, nor be afraid of their revilings. And we know who this is talking about right here, because we are surrounded by them today. For a moth eats them like a garment, and a worm eats them like wool. But my righteousness is forever. It is not broken and will not be abolished. And my deliverance and salvation to all generations. Okay, folks, I will leave it here for today. And I hope and pray that you were able to learn something from this word study commentary number 189. I love you guys, and I appreciate you being here and watching these videos that I have been called by the Father to present to you for your consideration. If you are led by the Father to do so, please help me get the truth of His Word out there by sharing these videos with your family members and friends who may need to hear what is being presented here. I look forward to being with you again, Father willing, in our next Hidden Scriptures Word Study Commentary. May Yah richly bless you and yours, and I hope to be with you again.